If you want to speak English fluently, you don't just need to study more. You need to practice the right way. And one of the most powerful methods is shadowing. And if you want to improve your English speaking faster and sound more natural, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay consistent with what you're about to learn. In this video, you will learn how to use the shadowing technique to improve your pronunciation, fluency, and confidence step by step. 1. What is shadowing? Shadowing is a simple but powerful method used to improve your English speaking. It means listening to native English audio and repeating it at the same time, almost like you are copying the speaker in real time. You do not wait for the sentence to finish. You speak along with the audio as closely as possible, trying to match the timing and flow. At first, this may feel difficult because your brain is not used to listening and speaking at the same time. You may fall behind, miss some words, or feel like you cannot keep up. This is normal. Shadowing is a skill, and it takes time for your brain to adjust. The goal is not to be perfect, but to keep going and stay in sync as much as you can. When you practice shadowing, you are training your brain in a different way. Instead of translating or thinking too much, you begin to react quickly. You hear the sound and repeat it instantly. This helps reduce hesitation and builds a more natural speaking rhythm. Over time, your responses become faster and smoother. Shadowing also helps you understand how English really sounds in real conversations. You start to notice how words are connected, how sentences flow, and how native speakers change their tone. This is something that is difficult to learn from reading or studying alone. By repeating what you hear, you begin to absorb these patterns naturally. Another important part of shadowing is imitation. You are not just repeating words, you are copying the way they are spoken. This includes pronunciation, stress, and rhythm. The more closely you follow the speaker, the more your speaking begins to sound natural. With regular practice, shadowing helps you become more comfortable with speaking. You stop overthinking and start focusing on flow and clarity. Your confidence improves because you are training your mind to speak continuously without stopping. Shadowing may feel challenging at the beginning, but it becomes easier with time. The more you practice, the more natural it feels. And over time, this simple method can make a big difference in how you speak and understand English. 2. Why shadowing works. Shadowing works because it trains multiple skills at the same time. When you practice this method, you are not only listening, but also speaking and improving your pronunciation at the same time. This makes your learning more effective, because your brain is working in a more active and connected way. Instead of separating skills, you are developing them together in one process. When you listen and repeat at the same time, your brain starts to adapt quickly. You begin to recognize sounds faster and respond to them without delay. This reduces the habit of translating in your head. Instead of thinking in your native language first, you begin to react directly in English. This is an important step toward speaking naturally and without hesitation. Shadowing also helps you build a natural speaking rhythm. Many learners speak slowly or pause often because they are thinking too much about grammar or vocabulary. With shadowing, you follow the speaker's pace. You learn how sentences flow, how words connect, and how natural speech sounds in real situations. Over time, this improves your fluency and makes your speech smoother and more continuous. Another reason shadowing works is because it builds automatic speaking ability. At the beginning, it may feel difficult to keep up. You may miss words or lose focus. But with regular practice, your brain becomes faster and more flexible. You start to speak without stopping to think about every word. This reduces hesitation and helps you speak with more confidence and control. It also improves your pronunciation in a natural and practical way. Instead of memorizing rules, you learn by copying real sounds. You begin to notice stress, intonation, and how native speakers connect words in everyday speech. You hear how certain sounds change in fast speech, and you start to repeat them in the same way. This makes your pronunciation clearer and more natural over time. Shadowing also strengthens your listening skills. As you repeat the audio, you become more focused on details. You start to hear small differences in sounds, tone, and rhythm. This improves your ability to understand spoken English in real conversations. You become more comfortable with different speeds and speaking styles. Over time, shadowing trains your brain to process and produce English at the same time. This is why it is such a powerful method. It builds fluency, improves pronunciation, and strengthens your listening skills together. The more you practice, the more natural your speaking becomes, and the less effort it takes to express yourself clearly and confidently. 3. Start with simple audio. When you begin shadowing, it is important to start with simple audio. Do not choose content that is too fast or too difficult to understand. If the audio is too complex, your brain will struggle to keep up, and this can lead to frustration. Instead of improving, you may feel stuck or discouraged. Simple audio allows you to focus on the method itself. You can pay attention to pronunciation, rhythm, and flow without feeling overwhelmed. When the content is clear and easy to follow, you are able to stay in sync with the speaker. This helps you build confidence and makes the practice more effective. Starting simple also helps you stay consistent. When something feels manageable, you are more likely to continue practicing every day. If it feels too difficult, you may avoid it or lose motivation. Consistency is more important than difficulty, especially at the beginning. Small, steady progress is what leads to real improvement over time. As you practice with simple audio, your brain begins to adapt. You become faster at recognizing sounds and repeating them. Your confidence increases, and shadowing starts to feel more natural. At this stage, you are building a strong foundation that will support more advanced learning later. Once you feel comfortable, you can slowly increase the difficulty. You can choose slightly faster audio or content with more complex sentences. This gradual progress helps you improve without feeling overwhelmed. You challenge yourself step by step while maintaining control and clarity. The goal is not to start at the highest level. The goal is to build your ability over time. By starting simple, you create a strong base, reduce frustration, and make it easier to stay consistent. And consistency is what will help you improve your English speaking in the long run. 4. Focus on pronunciation. When you practice shadowing, it is important to focus on how words actually sound, not just how they are written. English pronunciation is not always the same as spelling. Many words change when they are spoken in sentences. Sounds become softer, faster, or connected. If you only read and repeat words separately, you will miss how real speech works. When you listen to native speakers, pay close attention to their pronunciation. Notice how they stress certain words more than others. Some words are clear and strong, while others are softer and less noticeable. This pattern creates the natural rhythm of the language. By paying attention to this, you begin to understand how English is really spoken. You should also notice how words are connected in speech. Native speakers often link words together instead of saying them one by one. This makes their speech sound smooth and continuous. At first, this may sound fast or unclear, but with practice, you start to recognize these patterns. Shadowing helps you copy this flow and make your own speech more natural. Try to copy the speaker as closely as possible. Focus on their tone, their speed, and the way they pronounce each sound. You are not just repeating words, you are imitating the full sound of the sentence. This includes small details like stress, rhythm, and intonation. These details are what make your English sound more natural and easier to understand. At the beginning, you may not be able to match everything perfectly. That is normal. The goal is to improve step by step. Each time you practice, your pronunciation becomes clearer. You start to notice mistakes and correct them naturally. Over time, your speech becomes more accurate and more confident. Focusing on pronunciation during shadowing helps you build clarity and control. It trains your ear to hear details and your voice to produce them correctly. With consistent practice, your accent improves, your speech becomes smoother, and your overall communication becomes more effective. 5. Repeat daily. Consistency is one of the most important parts of improving your English speaking. Shadowing is not something you do once in a while. It is something you practice every day. Even a short amount of daily practice can make a big difference over time. What matters is not how long you practice, but how often you do it. When you practice daily, your brain begins to adapt. It becomes more familiar with the sounds, rhythm, and structure of English. You start to recognize patterns faster, and your ability to respond improves. This regular exposure helps your speaking become more natural and less forced. Without consistency, your progress becomes slow and unstable. Many people try to practice for a long time in one day and then stop for several days. This approach is not effective. Your brain needs regular repetition to improve. Daily practice keeps everything fresh in your mind. It allows you to build momentum and continue improving step by step without losing progress. Repeating shadowing every day also builds discipline. You create a routine where practice becomes a normal part of your day. You do not rely on motivation or mood. You simply follow your routine and continue. This makes your progress more reliable and steady over time. There will be days when you do not feel like practicing. You may feel tired or distracted. These are the moments that matter the most. When you choose to practice anyway, even for a few minutes, you strengthen your discipline and stay consistent. This is how real improvement happens. Daily practice also increases your confidence. The more you repeat the process, the more comfortable you become with speaking. You start to notice that you can follow the audio more easily, pronounce words more clearly, and speak with better flow. This builds confidence and encourages you to continue. Shadowing every day may seem simple, but it is very powerful. Small, consistent effort leads to long-term improvement. When you stay consistent, your speaking becomes smoother, your pronunciation becomes clearer, and your confidence grows step by step. 6. Don't stop for mistakes. When you practice shadowing, you will make mistakes. This is a normal part of the learning process. You may miss words, pronounce something incorrectly, or fall behind the speaker. These moments are expected, especially at the beginning. The important thing is not to focus too much on each mistake or let it interrupt your flow. Many learners stop every time they make an error. They try to correct it immediately, and this breaks their rhythm. When this happens often, it slows down progress and makes the practice feel more difficult than it should be. Instead of building fluency, the focus shifts toward perfection. This creates hesitation and reduces confidence over time. Shadowing is about maintaining flow, not being perfect. The goal is to keep speaking and stay connected to the audio as much as possible. Even if you miss a word or make a mistake, continue speaking and follow the next part. This helps you stay in rhythm and trains your brain to keep moving forward without stopping. Over time, this improves your fluency and your ability to speak continuously without hesitation. When you continue despite mistakes, you build confidence. You learn that it is possible to keep going even when things are not perfect. This reduces pressure and allows you to focus more on communication instead of small errors. You become more comfortable with speaking and less afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes also play an important role in improvement. When you repeat the same audio again, you begin to notice what you missed before. You naturally correct your pronunciation and understand the sentences more clearly. This process happens gradually through repetition, without needing to stop every time you make an error. Staying in flow also trains your brain to respond faster. You rely less on thinking and more on reacting. This builds automatic speaking ability, which is important for fluency. You learn to keep speaking without stopping, even when you are not completely sure. This strengthens your confidence and control. The key is to stay consistent and keep moving forward. Do not let small mistakes interrupt your progress. Keep speaking, stay focused, and trust the process. Over time, your mistakes will become fewer, your confidence will grow, and your speaking will feel more natural and smooth. 7. Use real-life content. Using real-life content is one of the most effective ways to improve your English through shadowing. Instead of practicing only with textbooks or scripted lessons, you use videos, podcasts, interviews, or everyday conversations. This exposes you to how English is actually spoken in daily life. Native speakers use expressions, intonation, rhythm, and word connections that are often very different from what you find in textbooks. By shadowing real-life content, you learn these natural patterns directly, and you start to understand how English works in practical situations rather than just in theory. You also begin to notice the natural speed of speech, how thoughts flow in real conversations, and how meaning is conveyed through tone and stress. Real-life content introduces you to a wide variety of accents, speeds, and speaking styles. Listening to different voices trains your ear to recognize English in many situations. You learn how people shorten words, connect phrases, and emphasize certain words within a sentence. You notice differences in pauses, tone, and rhythm depending on the context, emotion, or purpose of the conversation. These details may seem small, but they are what make your own speech sound natural, smooth, and fluent over time. Shadowing real-life material also makes your English practical and usable. You are learning the language as it is actually spoken, not just as it is written. This helps when you speak with others because your sentences will flow better, your pronunciation will be closer to native patterns, and your rhythm will become more natural. You begin to anticipate how sentences are structured and how conversations move, which improves your overall communication. By practicing real-life content, you also get exposure to slang, idioms, and casual expressions that are rarely taught in textbooks but are essential for real-world communication. Using real-life content also keeps your shadowing practice interesting and engaging. Watching videos, listening to podcasts, or repeating lines from conversations adds variety. You are not limited to dry lessons or repetitive drills, which can often feel boring. Engaging content keeps your mind active, motivated, and focused. When practice is enjoyable, you are more likely to stay consistent, which is the most important factor for long-term improvement in speaking. Another key benefit is learning practical vocabulary and expressions. Real conversations contain words and phrases that people actually use. You hear informal expressions, collocations, and common idioms that help your speech sound natural. Shadowing these real examples allows you to internalize the language in context, which makes it easier to remember and use in your own speaking. Over time, your ability to respond in conversations improves significantly because you are familiar with how words and phrases are used naturally. Shadowing real-life content may feel challenging at first, especially if the speech is fast, the vocabulary is new, or the accent is different from what you are used to. But these challenges are what help you grow. By repeating and practicing regularly, your brain adapts to the rhythm, sounds, and patterns of English. Your listening, pronunciation, and fluency improve together. The combination of hearing, repeating, and imitating real voices is one of the most powerful techniques to develop natural English speaking skills. With patience and consistent practice, even the fastest and most complex speech can eventually feel understandable and repeatable. Finally, real-life content prepares you for real conversations. You learn not just words, but how ideas are expressed, how emotions are conveyed, and how responses are structured naturally. This helps you move beyond textbook English into real-world communication. Over time, shadowing with real-life material builds confidence, clarity, and the ability to speak English with ease in almost any situation. 8. Be patient and stay consistent. Improvement takes time, and learning English through shadowing is no different. You may not notice major changes at first, and this can feel frustrating. Your brain needs time to adapt to hearing, processing, and repeating English simultaneously. Progress is gradual, and the small improvements you make each day add up over weeks and months. It is important to remember that even if results are not immediate, your consistent effort is working in the background. Staying patient is key. Many learners give up too soon because they expect quick results. Fluent, natural speaking does not happen overnight. Each session, even if short, trains your ear, improves your pronunciation, and strengthens your rhythm. Over time, your brain starts to recognize patterns automatically, and your speaking becomes smoother and more confident. Patience allows you to stay motivated even when progress feels slow. Consistency is even more important than intensity. Practicing a little every day is far more effective than long sessions done sporadically. Daily repetition builds habits and trains your brain to respond faster. Even 10 or 15 minutes of focused shadowing each day is better than 1 hour once a week. Over time, this consistency compounds, and you will notice your fluency, rhythm, and confidence improving steadily. Trust the process. Improvement is rarely linear. There will be days when it feels difficult or when you struggle to keep up. There will also be days when shadowing feels effortless. Both are part of learning. By remaining patient and continuing your practice every day, you create a strong foundation for long-term success. Your consistent effort will eventually lead to noticeable improvement, natural speaking, and confidence in real conversations. Being patient and consistent is what separates learners who improve steadily from those who give up. Every small repetition counts. Every day you practice, your skills become stronger. Over time, you develop not only fluency and pronunciation but also confidence and control over your English speaking. Consistency turns effort into progress, and patience ensures that you stay on the path until results appear. Building your English speaking skills through shadowing takes time, patience, and consistent effort. It is not about being perfect or understanding everything immediately. It is about showing up every day, repeating what you hear, and gradually training your brain to process and produce English naturally. By practicing daily, focusing on pronunciation, using real-life content, and staying in flow even when you make mistakes, you strengthen your fluency, rhythm, and confidence step by step. Remember, improvement does not happen overnight. Each small practice session adds up, and your speaking becomes smoother and more natural over time. Shadowing trains your listening, speaking, and pronunciation simultaneously, which accelerates your progress and helps you internalize English in real-life contexts. Consistency and patience are the keys. Every time you practice, you are building habits that will make English speaking feel effortless in the long run. Start applying what you learned today. Choose content that excites you, practice every day, and focus on repeating, not perfection. Over time, you will notice your confidence growing, your sentences flowing more naturally, and your overall communication becoming stronger. Shadowing is more than a technique, it is a pathway to fluent, confident English speaking. Keep practicing, trust the process, and stay consistent. Your strong, natural English speaking ability is built one step at a time.